like I was saying, when I was on a road trip, I had two white girls flash me their breasts. Now that was like a decade and a half ago, and they hit the wall. But back then, when they showed me their breasts, because they were college graduates, and I think they went to San Diego State, and the police gave them a ticket. And the cop could have arrested me because, you know, the cop had that look like you supposed to stop it. I'm like, if you ain't getting no female attention in a certain part of California, you're gonna take whatever attention you can get. By the way, that's another place that you could go to if you wanna, you know, get laid. But I'm gonna make a YouTube video for guys that keep complaining, well, I'm here in California and I don't make enough money at my job to get a passport to get better quality women. So I'll make a video for that. Gotta make sure this phone don't cut off, because it keeps cutting off when it has room, and I might have to reboot the phone again just so I can give you part two. Let's hope I don't, but I might have to. Okay, you guys, it's okay for right now. So like I said, I've had women flash me. I've had black women actually stick their ass out of the window and flash me. Then I've had, back in 2015, I had a woman who was probably between the ages of 20 to 25, black girl, ghetto, dark-skinned, big breasts, big booty, and she weren't wearing any panties, and she had both her ass cheeks tatted up. And guess what? She saw me staring and looking at that ass, and she decided to show me her whole entire ass, and then she got in the car and drove down the street slowly to pull the window down like, yeah, I'll let them smash. Then there's when I was doing job training in 2013, and this is the one that pickup artists and dating coaches don't talk about. And then there's the one that X could have made into a YouTube video and chose not to for obvious reasons. And that is verbal signals. They're not just signals that women will signal you that she find you physically, sexually attractive and give you that look, what are you waiting for? There is verbal communication, verbal signal. That means a girl might stick her tongue out and do the freak association. I'm not going to do it on camera, but you got women that are very good at doing that, sticking her tongue out and making it clear to you that she will give you a blowjob. Guys do know what a blowjob is. There are girls who will just tell you right off the bat what her sexual fantasy is. She'll tell you, I want someone to take me down from behind and go doggy dog style. And I've actually had one girl tell me she wanted to get done in the ass. Like, literally, she stood in the middle of a hallway at night when there was nobody around and bent over and gave me that signal, I want to take it up the ass. That's verbal signaling. Then I had another girl just straight out tell me that her baby daddy got a small package and he not up to par and he can't hang in the bedroom, and just walked up to me and showed me that she weren't wearing no bra and stuck her tongue out and done the freak association. Now those were two black women that are from the hood and they found me physically, sexually attractive. Then you got the girls that like to feel on your biceps. They want to see how big and strong your biceps are. You know, you'll get girls saying, do you work out? That's a nice way, that's verbal communication. They'll call it reciprocation. So that's the second signal that a girl likes you. She'll just straight say it. If she has crazy sexual fantasies, she'll say stuff like, I want to have sex with 2 men, 3 men. You know, she'll tell you, I want my boyfriend to watch. That's verbal signaling, where she's opening her mouth like I'm talking to you guys in the video, and she just says it. And it ain't just beautiful, attractive women who does this. You got some women that are not physically, sexually attractive to do the same thing. You get women that are 200 pounds, 300 pounds, 400 pounds, talking about they want to get taken down. Now, some of you guys are not a huge fan of that. I'm just trying to tell you what happens. And then you get some women who hit the wall. You get some older black women, some older white women that are like that, where they want to have sex at the park. They want to have sex at the beach. You know, they want to do it on top of the car. They want to screw on top of a fire truck. I already made a video about that called Sex on Halloween. So you get some young women, you get some older women, you get some fat women, you get women in general that will do it. You even get some women that will reject you when you was in high school and college, and it'll be 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, or extreme cases, 25 to 30 years later, and these women are still freaks. They're still addicted to sex. They still want alpha males. After all the time that's passed by, they want alpha males. And I'm saying it because no one talks about verbal communication. Like, some men are good at figuring out women's signals without them using their mouth. And some guys be like, open your damn mouth. I want to hear you talk. I want to hear some words come out. That's when you get a lot of men that get angry in the face, like they're about to turn into the Hulk and rip somebody's head off because the girl don't want to open her mouth and say yes or no. So the guy's like, I don't care if you show it through body language and facial expression. I want you to open your mouth and say it. I'll have more respect for you. So you have some guys that are more interested in open your damn mouth and say something versus you want to show it through facial expression and body language. And about 80 to 85% of the time, women just want to show it through their facial expression and body language. It's not until a woman hit the wall at stage 1 and stage 2 that when she gets to the ages of 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 60 years old, that's when she want to open her mouth and finally tell you, is the answer yes or no? Yeah, when she get old and you don't like her no more, then she'll open her mouth, then she'll talk. Even if the girl is shy, you have a case where a girl will be shy for about a good 5 to 10 years on average, and then when she hit 30 to 35, all of a sudden she's this talkative ass bitch because she hit the wall and ain't no one talking to her, ain't no one asking her out to lunch and dinner, ain't nobody trying to hit that ass no more. So now she'll bitch and complain and say, well, where all the alpha males are at, where all the high value men at, then she'll talk. But when you were in high school and college, bitch didn't want to talk. Bitch got the roll in her eyes, bitch stared you up and down, bitch wouldn't talk because she didn't find you physically, sexually attractive with her full of shit ass. She see a basketball player or a football player, she'll talk with no hesitation. Same thing if you're in college. Same thing if you're at the gym or you're at work. They'll ignore you. But then when it's 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, oh, she'll talk with no questions asked. Whether you want a conversation or you don't want a conversation, she'll talk. You'll be looking at her like, get the hell away from me. I ain't interested in you. But I'm trying to explain to you men what verbal communication is, verbal signaling. And it's universal because you got black women who do it, white women, Latino women, Asian women, Indian women, young women, older women, women that are fat and out of shape, women that are good looking, women that are not good looking. So you have the vast majority of women who do this all the time, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You have some woman who does that. But if a girl takes out an ink pen or a pencil or crayons or some markers and takes her bra off and write down her phone number, that is a strong indication that she is showing sexual interest. She give you her panties, she is showing you sexual interest. You take a girl home to her house or her parent, and then 3 hours later or 24 hours later you wake up, it's time for you to go to work, you recognize she'd have left her panties in the car. She'd have left her bra in the car with her phone number on it, with her home address on it. That is a nice sign of sexual / verbal signaling. Or a girl will just take out an ink pen and write her phone number onto your hand. That's how you can tell. Or if a girl tell you that she's from New Jersey or from New York and you're in Los Angeles, and she tell you the city and state, and she tell you a specific part of New Jersey is where she live at, well, you already know how that is. You would have to save up a whole lot of money and go to New Jersey to find her. There's that. There's even a girl get on top of your car and sit on top of your car, and you be trying to figure out who's sitting on the top of the hood of my car after I just washed my car. There's that too. So I'm trying to give you guys as many clear examples that will be very helpful to you while talking and approaching the opposite sex. In the gym, you got the classic legendary, she bent her ass over while you working out, she bent that ass over, and you don't know if you should look at that ass or continue your workout. Again, that brings sexual interest. And whoever is good at figuring that out usually gets the phone number and the email address and takes the woman out to lunch and dinner, and maybe 3 months later, maybe 5 or 6 months later, he tapped that ass not once but 2 to 3 times. See, they'll always talk about how come you guys can't see the signals. See, in part 1, I talked about it. If you keep getting rejected, then you're not going to be able to experience the good stuff. You're not going to be able to, because you keep getting rejected. Now, when you get past the rejection and you get a woman to like you, to find you physically, sexually attractive, then you get what I just described. A girl dropping her keys on purpose. Like, she knows she dropped her keys, but the whole concept is for you to pick them up, because what she's trying to do is get your invited attention. She's trying to create sexual interest. So you pick up the car keys. Her goal wasn't for you to pick up the car keys. Her goal was to get close to you, so when you touch her, that's exactly what she wants. And that's how women get aroused. And then they go home and, you know, they play with themselves because they got aroused because they finally ran into a high-valued male. Now, if you're in a beta male, well, you're going to know. Because she's going to give you that, get the fuck away from me. You know, the hand comes up like this. You know how black women say, talk to the hand? White girls be like, oh, hell no, get your ass back. Security, you'll know when you approach a female. So that's why I said that's hot game. And cold game is just, you just strike out. Nothing you seem to do work. You try everything, it fails. And the reason why I'm saying that's what happens is because that's what happens. You'll even get some women that will go into a bathroom and take a picture of their ass and their tits and send it through text message and email at work if she want to prove to you that she really like you. I'm just trying to explain to you how the shit go. I've had a girl at Jack in the Box in the Grove area almost get fired because she would always give me 2 cheeseburgers intentionally on purpose. And she did it like 3 times because she found me physically, sexually attractive. And this is a woman that has some tattoos. So I'm trying to explain to you how this works. So if you're too short or you're too fat or you're ugly looking and you're just not appealing to a woman, yeah, you're going to have some good days and some bad days, and you're going to have more bad days than good days. So when they say 80% of women are chasing 20% of the men, it's actually real. And when they say 80% of women reject 80% of the men, that's very real, perhaps too real. And a lot of times when you hear someone say, how come you can't see the signals, is because 80 to 85% and sometimes 90%, you're getting rejected all the time. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, because you can't seem to see the signs because you keep getting rejected. That's like when your teacher tell you in high school, keep taking over the math test or the English test until you pass. So it might take you 5 times, it might take you 10 times before you figure out what the hell you're doing wrong and how to fix it. Well, it's the same thing with the opposite sex. If you look at jobs, as far as jobs and careers are concerned, you'll go on a job interview and they'll be interviewing to see if they like your personality, or if they don't like your personality, to see if you are the right fit or not. And a lot of the interviewers, where it's a man or a woman, younger, old, black or white, about 85 to 90% of the time they lie because they're full of shit. A lot of them will say the classic line, we'll call you back if anything comes up or if anything changes. We'll call you back in a week or two. They say that to every person they interview. And the reality is you will never get a phone call back 80 to 85% of the time, because in that first interview, they look for all the mistakes that you make. You could make one mistake, and that could be the determining factor why they will not hire you. You know, there's something in their resume that they don't like, or there's something in the application you forgot to put in the application, or they caught you lying in the middle of a conversation while interviewing you. So they always say, we'll call you back with a second interview. They never do. What it is they're looking for mistakes in the first interview so they don't have to call you back for a second interview. And women kind of work on a similar system. A woman will act like this is a job interview and interview your ass and basically make it clear to you that in order for you to take her out to lunch and dinner, or the idea of trying to have sex, you got to pass her interview audition. And it ain't just one woman that's going to do that. You're going to get at least 10 to 11, sometimes 15 women that's going to do that to you. And it doesn't matter if it's black women, white women, Latino women, Asian women, Indian women. Don't matter if they're young or old. At some point, I mean, if they're old, she may not do it because she's desperate. So the older the woman is, the less you have to worry about an older woman doing a shit test and playing stupid mind games. Because the older they get, the more desperate they get. But if it's a young woman between the ages of 18 to 29 and sometimes 30, you're going to have to worry about mind games. You're going to have to worry about a shit test. I'm just trying to explain to you in this video that what is the difference between hot game and your game going cold. If you did not ask for a woman to buy you lunch and dinner, that's a good indication she might find you physically, sexually. I'm talking about if it's a young, attractive woman. Now, if it's an older woman that's like in her late 30s, her 40s, her 50s, her 60s, then that's because she's desperate. So that's the difference between a young woman buying you lunch and an older woman doing it. If a young girl that's like 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 give you her phone number without asking for it, that means she finds you physically, sexually attractive. Even if the fat girl's 200 pounds, 300 pounds, you're still getting the phone number without being rejected. Even if the woman have all the tattoos and the piercings, and you'll get player haters. Oh yeah, you'll get guys saying, man, that girl's a hoe because she rejected that one guy 5 to 10 times. And you didn't even get rejected, or you got rejected only 3 times to his 5 to 10 times that he got rejected. So you might talk to 10 to 11 women. Sometimes you might talk to 15 women, and your game could be hot or your game could be ice cold. You're going to have some good days, you're going to have some bad days. It can last 2 years, it can last 5 years, it can last 10 years that you got hot game, or your game is ice cold. It all depends on what you say and what you do. But the reason why I made part 2 is to try to explain to you why some guys don't ever get from I'm being rejected to my game is on fire. And sometimes if you're lucky, you could have the scenario where you can screw 2 women at the same time if they're girlfriends. That also happens. But usually your game got to be so on point that can happen. So that's why I'm trying to explain to you guys that 9 times out of 10, that's why most of us are always in the friend zone and can't get out of it. And I already made a video telling you, you're just going to have to start going to different locations and stop worrying about the girl that rejects you. Because when you reject her back, then it's hell have no fear like a woman scorned. There goes the hypocrisy. So I'm trying to give you as many examples as I can. There's even one where a girl will lock herself out of her house or out of her apartment on purpose just to see if you can help her get back into her house. Then there's the she'll intentionally on purpose mess up her car just so she can see you take your shirt off and see those hard ripped 6-pack abs. And then if the girl really like you, she'll promote you to all her girlfriends on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. She'll promote you if she like you. Now if she hates your guts, she's just gonna talk a bunch of shit about you on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. I'm just trying to tell you what's the difference between your game's on fire and your game's ice cold. It's like sports, right? When the basketball season lasts for 9 months, your game's on fire. Now, when it's not basketball season and it's football season, your game's ice cold. If it's the baseball season, your game's ice cold. Okay, basketball season comes around, now you're on fire again. So that's why I'm trying to explain to you why I say your hot game versus cold game too. I'm trying to explain to you that there's not just signals, there's also verbal communication. If a girl grabs on your big package and starts filling on it, that's a complete dead giveaway. If she ass grind up on you, if she take her ass and grind up on you, then that's a strong indicator that she like you. And you don't really have to struggle like most of beta male men do, low value men do. That means you've already proven to the woman that you're good, and then you don't have to take no shit test. You don't have to do no stupid mind games. But when a girl decides to play on your cell phone, call with different phone numbers, and then you say hello, 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 and then she hang up, on the other end, her and 5 other girls are laughing their ass off because you're too stupid to figure out that she's playing games with you. And it ain't until you either stalk her, which God forbid if you ever do that. I recommend you don't do that. I had a friend in college who did the shit and got arrested 3 times for doing it, because he was tired of the bitch playing on the cell phone and he couldn't find her location. And one day when he found out that she was in Hollywood doing this shit, he walked up and slugged her in the face with a punch like he Rocky Balboa from Rocky 5, got arrested 2 to 3 times. So my point is, when they do that, they get a kick out of it because they're sending you a message. Women will taunt you. Women will do that, nah, you can't get no ass. You'll get women doing that. And the same woman that make fun of you, the same woman that taunt you, is the same woman who comes back to you 10 years later, 15, 20 years later, when she hit the wall at stage 1 and stage 2 and start that "do you remember me" bullshit. And then you'll be looking at her like, I ain't seen you in 10, 15, 20 years, and you're going to ask one of the most ignorant, stupidest questions known to man, do you remember me? You're asking that because you'd have put on 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds, and you're between 200 to 260 pounds, or you're borderline 300, or just about 300 pounds, and you got 2 to 3 kids. That's why you're doing that "do you remember me" shit. And I already told you, one of the clear signals that a woman's hit the wall is that a conversation comes from out of nowhere. And it's the same woman that rejected you in high school, college, at work, at the gym. Same woman, right? She'll conversate with you from out of nowhere. And you'll be like, bitch, why are you talking to me? 10, 15, 20 years ago, you didn't even want to see my face. You didn't even want to have nothing to do with me. The second sign is her asking, do you remember me? And you looking at her like, yeah, I remember you rejected me 10, 15, 20 years ago. And then she'll give you anywhere between 10 to 150 excuses on why she rejected you. Some of them are logical, and some of them are just stupid ass reasons to reject someone. But they do it on a consistent daily basis. And then you reject them, and then it's, I'm gonna slash your tires, I'm gonna take a brick and throw it through in the back of your windshield, I'm gonna phone stalk you. I'm just trying to tell you what you get when you do it back to the female. So I'm trying to explain to you, that's how you can tell with verbal communication. And the reason why I say verbal is because if you see a girl reject you in high school and college, at work, or at the gym from the ages of 18 to 29, and sometimes 30 years old, and you see her talk to a bodybuilder or a personal trainer, oh, she can talk perfectly just fine. But if it's someone like you, and she go, you're too short, you're too fat, you're not tall, dark, and handsome, you don't play basketball or football, or you're not a drug dealer, or you're not a criminal, then she's gonna act like you don't exist. But let it be 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, or extreme cases, 25 to 30 years later, all of a sudden now she want to talk. Now she want to give you the conversations that she didn't want to give you. Then she'll be trying to throw sex at you because that's what you wanted in the first place. Problem is, you just don't find her physically, sexually attractive when she's 220 pounds, 230, 240, 250, 260, or 300 pounds. You just don't find her attractive like that. She got 2 or 3 kids, you ain't trying to take care of another man's kids. That's what happens in that time frame. And she expects you not to open your mouth and complain about it. But you're going to take it serious because when you couldn't get her from the age of 18 to 29, or sometimes 30 years old, she didn't want to be bothered with you. She's only bothered with you because she's 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 60 years old. Now she want to be bothered. So that's why I made this video, so you guys can understand and see the signs that take place. If a girl give you a back massage when you didn't ask for it, that's a strong indicator that she like you. Now, if a girl kick you in the balls or slap you in the face or throw some coffee in your face, that just let you know she don't like you. So now you kind of know the good and the bad. Until then, peace.